Hello and welcome to my video. I'm gonna go through the complete disassembly of a Chinese NH35 movement. I originally did a voiceover while I recorded this for the first time, and unfortunately I lost all the audio, so I'm gonna try to do my best at doing a voiceover right now. Currently, I'm just kind of checking out the differences between the NH35 and this movement. The NH35 has a Diashock jewel setting. This one does not. I'm not exactly sure what kind of setting that is. I'm sure somebody can tell me down in the comments. Also tried something a little bit different with this video. I wanted to basically record using my camera and using my microscope. So you're going to see different perspectives. Let's going to go ahead and take off the oscillating weight first. This was kind of odd because the screw stood up a little proud, so it made it very difficult to loosen this, I guess, nut up to take it off. But the oscillating weight looks almost identical to an NH35 movement without any of the markings on it. I decided not to wear any finger cuts for this disassembly because I kind of just bought this movement to make a fun video and see what the differences in the two movements are. So looking at the automatic winding bridge, it looks like the pawl levers are pretty much identical. The crown wheel is reverse thread. I did not bother taking that off. Currently, I'm just checking the winding. I remember it sounding very gritty, not nearly as smooth as a TMI movement. It looks like it functions pretty well in both directions. So there's 3 screws to take out for the automatic winding works, or the automatic winding bridge. This second screw had some sort of spring on it. I'm not sure what the function of it was, but it definitely was different than the seiko movement. One thing I did notice while taking this apart is it seemed like every other screw in the movement was tight. Like when you would take off a bridge, one screw would be like super loose and the next screw would be like super tight. And there was a lot of, I don't know, I don't want to call it end shake, but there was a lot of sloppiness in the bridges in taking them off. There wasn't, they didn't seem to fit quite as tight as some other movements I've taken apart. hindsight, I should have taken off the screw for I can't even think of the word of it, the wheel that sits on top the barrel, because when I pulled that off, it unwound the barrel. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off right now. This is also a little bit different than a TMI movement. The TMI movement, I believe the washer and the screw are all one piece. This one was not. Ratchet wheel. That's the ratchet wheel. Sorry, I digress. So the underside of the automatic winding bridge is definitely a little bit different. All those parts right there are different, and it looks like the pawl wheel, that's attached also differently. I think the pawl wheel on a TMI movement has kind of like a clip holding it in, and this one has kind of like a jeweled bridge holding it in. So the click's the same as a TMI movement. One thing that I did notice, it seemed like a lot of the finishes on this movement didn't seem to be quite as nice as the NH35. It seemed like the metal was a lot cheaper, the finish was a lot cheaper too. Gonna pull off the balance. The balance looked it looked the same as an NH35 movement. Aside from the jewel, it also looked like it was timed the exact same way as an NH35 movement. Just trying to adjust it there, and that's what the balance looks like. I noticed halfway through this video that I have a lot of brown stuff on my fingers. I was buffing a watch case for another video right before I did this video, so some of that polishing paste is still on my finger. And the train of wheels and the barrel. I'm going to go ahead, I think, and look at this barrel. On the TMI movement, it's difficult to get into the barrel. You've got there's a split in the side, like in the middle of the side of the barrel, that you got to kind of pry into with a razor or something pretty flat. It looks like on this one that the top comes off like more like a pocket watch barrel or a normal barrel. So I go ahead and test it out, and yes, in fact, it comes right off. So this seems like a very serviceable barrel. Another thing I noticed about this movement, it just seems like everything in this movement's dry. All the things that I feel like should have lube on them didn't have any lube. Like inside the barrel, it was as dry as a bone. Um, Also, we'll get into it later, but the keyless works was super dry. It didn't seem like there was grease on anything. The only thing I could find any lubrication on were the jewels, and in my opinion, they had an excess amount of lubrication. Yeah, this whole keyless works is different than an NH35. And I'm just checking it out, seeing what I want to remove next. I haven't had a chance to look to see if I could find a data sheet for this movement. If I can find a data sheet, I'll make sure I put up the part numbers when I go to put this back together. I was also having issues with my microscope, so some of the microscope uh, clips you'll see they are a little bit out of focus. On this side, um, on this side of the movement, everything looked a lot different than the NH35 movement. But I can't say whether or not it seemed like it was any less quality or more quality. It just kind of was different, but seemed the same. Yeah, that was the like literally the only oil I could find on this side of the watch movement. I also noticed while I was looking at the date ring, it's kind of weird and textury, which I didn't really like all that much. It just makes it seem like really cheap. I've never seen a date ring look like that before. All right, this plate's going to come off. And I think I was pointing out the weird textury date ring right there. It's like super bumpy. Never seen one like that before. But it didn't seem like it was bad quality. Like it wasn't all plastic. It was metal on one side. the Canon pinion. If I can find it. There it is. Now, I did like the fact that this was all metal, which is something you typically see on more expensive watches, watch movements, sorry. But like everything else, it seemed like it was just really cheap metal. But in a TMI movement, that I think it's the date mover. I can't remember what the name of it is, but that is plastic. I think in some of the old Seiko movements, they were metal, but the TMI NH35, it's plastic. I start thinking about removing this brass colored piece right here, and I couldn't really figure out how to get it off there. So I think I changed directions and end up removing this. I believe this is in 3 pieces. If I can get the screwdriver in the slot. To screw, a washer, the adjuster ring, and then the gear, I think. Yep. Yeah, I think I flipped the movement over because I wanted to see if I could remove either one of those posts, but you'll see on the other side there was no way to remove them. Did notice some damage on this screw, that's why I zoomed in. It had a lot of marks and it had actual metal peeling off of it, which is never good when you get a piece of metal stuck in your watch movement. So I'm going to pull off this pallet fork bridge. See, there's another one of those really tight screws. Some of them are really tight, some of them were like rattling around. I think here you'll see that usually when you take off a pallet fork bridge, it's like super hard to take off. This one just popped right off. It wasn't stuck on there in any way. So at this point I decided to take the last wheel off. bridge that was super loose. Now I attempt to take this wheel out about 1,700 times until I finally figure it out and get the stem out of there, because the stem is blocking the wheel from coming out. And I just keep trying, thinking something's going to change. The removal of the stem was pretty much the same as the NH35. I think the yoke looks almost exactly the same. And there goes that wheel. It comes right on out. I believe right there I'm showing how much oil, how much lube is on the jewels by smearing it around. It seemed like an excess. I did run this movement through the time grapher before I started taking it apart, and it honestly did not have bad numbers. It seemed to run pretty steady. I think the amplitude was up over 300. So I'm not sure. This movement got horrible reviews. If you read the forums and you go into Reddit, it seemed like this movement got horrible reviews. And I haven't done any sort of long-term testing on it. I just figured this would be a good video to do because the NH35 movements now have doubled in price. And if this is a good alternative, then I figured I might as well do a video on it. I think we're getting down to the end. Pretty much have everything removed from this side. There's a piece, must have fallen out the bottom when I pulled the stem out. And so there's one more piece left. I think that just pops right out. It was being held in by a piece on the other side of the watch movement. So that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. The next video will be putting this movement back together.